It's a new show. It's a new week. Let go of my hand.
All right.
It's going to take some time to heal that. But everybody, welcome into episode 4 of the Kelly Cast. 4 episodes in, Mike. Still haven't been canceled.
Not canceled yet. I came close to self-canceling, but...
Hey, that's just because the audio problems, guys. You don't know what goes in to putting this show together, and my sound guy, Mike, is always on the case. Everybody, we want to thank you for all your support lately. I've been having people ask me, Mike, when's the next episode coming out? We're working on it. So the off-season is a hard time for football fans everywhere, right? Because there's just not much going on. And especially right now, I know it's draft time, and you saw the draft special with myself and Mitch. If you haven't, I'll link that right here. It's on the channel. Go check it out, please. Picks 1 through 10 are mocked by Mitch and myself. So, of course, there's draft talk, but other than that, there's not much going on, Mike. There's a couple of trades, a couple of news stories here and there. Right. So we want to tell you right now that during the offseason, the episodes will be coming out as there is news, as there is topics for us to discuss. So this week we were able to put together a show. Next week it may not be the same. So just keep up to date with us on Facebook, on YouTube. Mike runs our Facebook. I run the YouTube account. So keep up with that, and you'll always know when the next episode's coming and how soon it'll be out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also doing my own thing as well. I plan on doing a little backstage through my eyes kind of thing of what it's like to be extremely camera shy and still having the guts to go on camera and film, you know.
Behind the scenes with Mike is coming your way. Mike, it looks like a lawnmower ran over your face. What happened?
Oh, I shaved.
And I've heard all the jokes already, okay?
Yeah.
Army, adult film star, all these things.
Yes.
Shut up.
I forgot. I don't know if we introduced our new guest, Dirk Diggler, folks. Dirk Diggler.
I'm too young to understand that reference, which is okay.
Other guys out there will get it. It'll be awesome.
All right. We'll see. If you understand Mike's stupid dad jokes, please let us know in the comments. But Mike, some news around the NFL did happen, in fact, over the last couple weeks. We haven't been on here in a little while. You and I haven't recorded in probably 2 or 3 weeks now.
Easily.
So let's get into the news. And we're starting off with the New York Football Giants. This came out yesterday about running back Saquon Barkley. He was offered the franchise tag, and he has not signed the contract with the franchise tag for the Giants. Now, what would he be making? $10 million. $10 million for one season to stay in New York.
$10 million for arguably his, his best season last year, right? For 1,300 yards.
I mean, to potentially work out a long-term deal, though. And for me, Mike, it just doesn't make sense because I think the Giants have done right by him. They drafted him. They paid him. He had a hefty contract that they were willing to pay. I don't know if there was talks to trade him. I'm not in the Giants front office. Neither are you. If you want to call us, we're open to it. But I don't know whether they look to trade him.
If you want to win, don't call me.
Just in Madden. Mike can't win in Madden. So Saquon Barkley, you mentioned it. Arguably his best season last year. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaged almost 4.5 per carry. One of the reasons they weren't able to reach a long-term deal, Mike, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, with that contract extension, right?
4 years. What was it? 164, something crazy. And the wide receivers that they surrounded him with aren't that great. Paris Campbell, Jamison Crowder, formerly of the Bills, Isaiah Hodgins, formerly of the Bills, and Darius Slayton, who I think is a pretty good wide receiver. The Giants had some success last year, of course, reaching the playoffs for the first time in the last 6 seasons, since that boat picture with Odell Beckham Jr., who is now a Raven. The offseason, Mike, it brings some sad stories. Brings some sad stories to light. You see DUIs, you see players getting arrested, you see all these things, and unfortunately, another thing happened here in the offseason just a little bit ago. Lafayette wide receiver Michael Jefferson was involved in a car crash that has required multiple surgeries for him. This per his agent. He is a projected mid-round pick in this year's draft. I wasn't able to find too much about Michael Jefferson. I do know last year he had 810 yards and 7 touchdowns. It was his best year at Lafayette.
Sure.
And man, it sucks to see these young guys, and I don't know if this was his fault. I don't have any of that information. It just sucks when you see these young, talented guys, having these issues either brought to them or bring them upon themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely sad, and I hope it's not his. I didn't get to read too much up on it either myself, but absolutely. I mean, he was projected a top pick. You said, right?
Mid-round pick. So maybe he slides a little bit. He makes a little less money, and hopefully he gets into a good situation where he can make a team.
Yeah, where he can recover. Good luck to you. I hope you, like you said, recover.
I mean, it just hurts, man. I hate seeing these stories, hearing these stories. We're just bringing you guys the news. Sometimes it's difficult, and that's part of the job. This is a job, right?
It is kind of like a second job. It's very much work, especially
for the sound guy. So the question I have for you, Mike, is where do you think we could be seeing this first skill position player going? In terms of what team do you think would really need a guy that's either a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end?
The first team to go off the board to pick, right? That was the question.
The first team that you think is going to go with an offensive skill position player.
Okay. So we were talking a little bit about Packers. What do they need?
Why is it the Packers? Is it because they lost, potentially Aaron Rodgers? We don't know. We have no idea. As of Thursday, April 13th now, Aaron Rodgers is still not a Jet.
I know. I just passed around a funny meme that said...
I saw it. The banner.
Almost got...
I saw it.
In July.
The banner. It says almost acquired Aaron Rodgers, had dinner with Derek Carr, and almost met with OBJ. That's what it was.
It was something like that. I honestly am having a brain fart.
So going back to the Packers, Alan Lazard left to go to the Jets in free agency. So you could see them needing a wide receiver. They did take Christian Watson in the second round last year.
Right.
But I could definitely see them. They need a tight end.
I think with Jordan Love, if they do actually trade
Rodgers,
they're supposed to. I know Rodgers.
Do you?
I do.
Are you sure?
I do. He looks like me. He's almost old, just like me. Needs to go into another darkness retreat and get rid of that psycho.
You got a scatterbrain sometimes, Mike. So that's why I ask. But hey, if you're the Packers, you might as well surround Jordan Love with weapons. They need a tight end as well. They can go tight end here. They pick at 15. This is not too early to pick a tight end.
Supposed to be picking offense.
Okay, we'll get into that later. Do you think in terms of running back, wide receiver, tight end, where do you want the Bills to go?
Maybe. Where do I want them to go?
Yeah.
I want them to go straight wide receiver.
Okay.
I heard that they're projected, or somebody was projecting them to be a tight end or go to tight end. And
I did not see that.
I can't remember who it was. I don't even know if it's anybody reputable, honestly. But I was like, tight end. I don't know. I don't know if we need another. We do need another tight end.
They're not going tight end in the first round.
God they don't.
They won't. They just paid Dawson Knox top 10 money. There's no way.
Right. So I would probably prefer in that case for them to go defense over tight end.
So then at 20, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Me and Mike also talked about them potentially going wide receiver, tight end, running back, something like that. They need a lot of help. Seattle made the playoffs last year because of Geno Smith's immaculate season, comeback player of the year, right? But hey, comeback player of the year, guess what? Now we got tape on you. We know what you can do. We're going to be ready for you this time around.
I'm excited to see what he does this year,
let's see what they do if they surround him with a weapon. The Detroit Lions we have on this list as well. They pick at 18. The reason we have the Lions here, Mike, because the Lions traded TJ Hawkinson last season to the division rival Minnesota Vikings, so I can see them going tight end. They're not going to go wide receiver. They have young wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, who they took last year in the first round, 9th overall. So I could not see the Lions as going a wide receiver. Running back, not going to go that early. 18,
Right.
18 too early.
Yeah,
Chargers were another team. You remember the Chargers-Jags playoff game we watched, right?
Yep.
The Chargers need more firepower on offense. Even though they were up by a lot, maybe they go defense, but I think they do need help on offense. And, of course, Mike, you mentioned the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
We really hope it goes offense, and we'll have a conversation on that right now, Mike. Buffalo picks at number 27 overall.
Yep.
Now, this question I came up with for you last night, and I've been thinking about it myself. And I think that there's one player on defense that I'd be okay with, and that's a linebacker. So it kind of makes this question a little tougher. So how upset, give me a scale of 1 to 10, how upset would you be if the Buffalo Bills took a player at 27 that played defense?
And you're right. I've been thinking about it. Actually, I probably flew off the handle yesterday. I said I'm going to be PO'd if they go defense again, because that's all they've been building. And we've got a great defense still in the top 5. They've been declining. Yeah, we do need to fill some holes. Linebackers, obviously, a big one we got to fill yet. But no, dude, you need to put some more weapons around Josh Allen. I'm fully on board with all the local radio hosts that are all in on this wide receiver train, and I'm full in on it. You got to get a wide receiver. You got to get him help, because I know this wasn't part of the subjects either, but this is probably your last shot with Diggs. He's not for sale this year. He's a $40 million cap hit, but he's probably for sale next year, as you say.
He was also restructured, though. So
he was restructured.
I don't know if that, added to his cap hit next year, potentially, if you try to trade him, if your dead space is still around the same, which if it is, that means Buffalo's not going to trade him. If they're trading him and eating $40 million, it's not going to happen. But you didn't give me a number, Mike, because you don't like to answer my questions. Who does? It's okay. It's fine. I'll talk to the people here for a second. It is not about defense anymore. It just isn't. You know the mantra, defense wins championships. I used to say that all the time, playing Madden against Mike, playing against Nick. Nick, I love you. I know you're not watching, but I love you anyway.
Me too.
It's not about defense. It's about putting up points in today's NFL. You see teams competing because of their offense. Surround Josh Allen with a weapon. Get a wide receiver at 27. The question then becomes, if at 27, those 4 wide receivers that are projected to go in the first round are all gone, do you go wide receiver still? Do you trade out?
It's tough.
How would you feel if the Bills trade out of the first round?
This is why I'm not a GM, because you get the pressure questions, right? And if you get it wrong, you get booed, and you want to get...
You're not getting booed by anybody besides me, and you get booed by me on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's true. And my kids at that.
They cheer for you. His kids are so nice to him that they let him sleep in on the weekends, but their mother, no, she has to wake up.
That's right. They love daddy. I think I would trade out. If I'm me, I would trade out, because it's just so far down. Unless there's, I guess you got to go tight end at that point, right?
No.
You get either defense or wide receiver is what you're telling me. I have to choose between.
I'm at wide receiver, linebacker, or offensive lineman.
If there's a stud
offensive
if there's
lineman,
you've done your
offensive lineman. What about a guard? What about a guard at 27? If you go tackle at 27, unless it's a tackle that is going to switch to guard, that makes you worry about Spencer Brown. Makes you worry about what the Bills think of his development.
Yeah.
However, if they take a tackle that we know is going to move to guard, that's okay. Obviously, they got Connor McDermott from Dallas in free agency. I think the center's okay, left tackle's okay, but if there's somebody there that's worth it at 27, as much as I'd hate an offensive lineman pick, Mike, I think I'd like it too, because guess what? It's helping Josh Allen.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I can't disagree too much. Well, I can't disagree at all because the guy needs protecting
He does.
in the pocket. That's where a quarterback's been proven to
And
get
that's where
hurt.
his injuries happen. His injuries happen in the pocket. They don't
Exactly.
happen when he's scrambling
Exactly.
for whatever reason. But Mike, there was a trade this week. And it was a trade that really, I don't want to say shook the NFL to its core because it wasn't that kind of move. But it certainly surprised me. And I know my stuff about the NFL, as you know. So Jeff Okudah, who was taken by the Detroit Lions in the 2020 NFL draft, he's a corner, right?
Right.
Taken number 3 overall in 2020, 3 years ago, was traded to the Atlanta Falcons for a 5th round draft pick in this year's draft, I believe.
Yeah.
Why?
5th round.
Why?
It's that it goes back to a draft capital, man. It's what is it worth? What has he done lately, right? He's been buried behind. I think we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, he's been
buried a little bit, so he hasn't gotten a chance to prove himself. This is to prove itself. I think we also spoke about injury concerns on him as well, right? So
injury concerns in his first 2 seasons, yes. Last year he played in 15 games.
15 games, okay.
15,
so he's
15 out of
improving.
17. But the question remains, you spent a number 3 overall pick on this player. You're telling me you're giving up on him in year 3. Remember the Buffalo Bills. They drafted a guy in the 6th round who played offensive guard. His name was Wyatt Teller. They gave up on him. After, I believe, 2 years, traded him to Cleveland. You know what happened?
No.
He turned into an all-pro offensive guard in the NFL.
But that's the Bills. Everybody turns into an all-pro when they left the Bills. It happens. But
I think you're thinking of the Sabres, pal.
Possibly, but I mean, look at who's burnt toast we were talking about the other.
There's plenty of players who have left the Buffalo Bills that have disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, plenty of them too. Puz Leslie's not one of them though. He did well.
He was injured here.
So it's the same thing with this guy. He was injured for the first 2 seasons. He's had 1 full season.
No,
He's
0.
not.
0 full seasons.
Okay, 0 full seasons. 1 close to full season. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's why am I going to take that risk to give you close to what you paid for a guy that think about
injured? Think about this in terms of trades, right? The Los Angeles Rams traded with the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford, right?
Sure.
They lost 2 first-round picks in that deal. They got a Super Bowl out of it. I'm sure they're happy.
Yeah.
But doing this 3 years after you take a player in the first round who potentially has a 5-year contract with your team, you're admitting to the league that you made a mistake by selecting this player. That's the first thing. And the fact that you're only able to get a 5th round pick out of this tells me, what are you doing as a GM?
I have no rebuttal back to that because that's actually a good point.
Did everybody just outperform him in camp? Did he do something behind? There's so many questions.
Yeah, it's definitely
Jeff Okudah going to be playing for the Atlanta Falcons now in the NFC still. Stays in the NFC with that trade. NFC South. All the best to you, Jeff. I hope your career gets on the right track. I love to see young players, old players, everybody. I want everybody to succeed in the NFL. Gets me thinking of the Washington Commanders sale today, Mike. $6 billion. Yes, billion with a B.
$100 billion.
The NFL is $111 billion, worth 111.8 to be exact billion dollars. So it really pales in comparison. And then you go back to even our sale, that was $1.2 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And now they're projected to be worth $3.4 billion, and we're an extremely small market team. Mm-hmm. It is crazy though to think that.
Let's take a second, Mike, and give props to the NFL. Dan Snyder is no longer an owner in the NFL. Let's go.
The most important part of it all. The most important part of it all. He's a dirtbag. Nobody liked him. And good riddance. And
enjoy retirement. Well, Mike, that brings us to our most important topic of the day. This one is going to get heated. It's going to get heated for you. It's going to get heated for me. If you guys want to partake in the comments, which one of us you agree with, be sure to do that. Maybe we'll agree. Who knows? We talk about dying breed. Talk about dying breed with running backs. Another dying breed in the NFL is defensive head coaches. More importantly, defensive head coaches winning Super Bowls, Mike. Because you can have success, right? You can have success as a defensive-minded head coach. But in the year 2023, is it still possible for defensive head coaches to win a Super Bowl? Yes or no?
I'll start off by saying this.
He's going to start off by saying neither yes nor no.
That's right. That's my MO, isn't it? But regardless, I'm going to start off like this. Vegas thinks so. They have the Bills at the best odds at 15 point something % to go to the Super Bowl and win it.
I don't care what Vegas has to say. You shouldn't care what Vegas has to say.
I do, because they set the precedence and they're not wrong a lot. If they're wrong a lot, then how do they make all that money? They can't be wrong that much. So it is important what Vegas says in a small way, in my mind. But can they still win a Super Bowl was the question, and I think yes, if you have the right person, you can, as a defensive coach, still win a football. It's not as easy as it used to be. You have a lot more difficult. You're not paving the way for nothing. You're digging through a mountain to get there. So yes, I do believe it is possible.
No. Simple no, because it just hasn't happened in so long. And I'm gonna give you it, right? You have this year where the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, offensive-minded coach.
Okay.
You have last year where the Rams won the Super Bowl, offensive-minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay was a special situation to me where their defense was so good. It was so good. They carried Tom Brady to that Super Bowl. I guess you can say defensive-minded coach, but it's not, because it's Bruce Arians that year. It's not Todd Bowles that year. It's Bruce Arians. Don't get me wrong. Todd Bowles did a really wonderful job as defensive coordinator, and he helped them get there. But that's Bruce Arians. That's an offensive-minded head coach, right? Should we keep going?
Okay.
Should we keep going? Because I can
find me the last one. Who was the last one?
I can keep it going here.
Who's the last?
Kansas City again,
Yep.
Offensive-minded head coach.
All right.
And then
Yep.
in 2019, the New England Patriots beat the Rams 13-3 in probably one of the worst Super Bowls ever. That is a defensive-minded head coach.
2019, and they were a dynasty, yes. And 2019, we're in 2023. Do the math. How many years later?
I can't do math.
Okay, me neither. So we'll skip the math part. It doesn't matter. It's a funny league, man. It's any given Sunday. It's any given Sunday, period. It doesn't matter if you're a defensive-minded coach, if you're an offensive-minded coach.
The problem, Mike, is the success of the offensive-minded coaches is completely changing the fabric of the NFL. The Rams, the Bengals, the Chiefs. You're seeing these teams with these coaches that are young and ready for that position to be theirs. They're hungry. Mm-hmm. And then they show out. And they do these wonderful things with scheme that a defensive-minded head coach cannot combat.
So are we saying that Sean McDermott needs to go then? Are we agreeing with people? Are we at that point in the Bills? I know we're not always about the Bills, but this is a perfect example of that. He's the defensive-minded coach. He's taken us the farthest we've gone in how many years? How long is the drought? Regardless. So he's gotten us there.
He hasn't, though. He hasn't gotten us there.
He's gotten us there.
He hasn't gotten us there.
Our version of the promised land.
It's not
but
it.
We're getting, hasn't gotten us over the hump, yes, but does that mean he's got to go then?
I'll tell you what Bills
Do
fans...
we have to have that offensive coach?
I will tell you what Bills fans tell me, which is a surprising thing that I hear on a regular basis. So shout out to everybody who says this. Sean McDermott is not good on game days, is what I was told by people. Is he's not prepared for certain opponents. Is that he falls apart in big moments. That he can't get past the AFC Championship game. All of these things. Now, do I think the Bills should fire Sean McDermott? No, I don't. I plain and simple don't. Is he going to win the Bills the Super Bowl? God, I hope so. I'm not ready to tell you yes or no on that. I think the Bills' year was 2 years ago. I think the Bills' year was the year where they lost to Kansas City because of the 13 seconds.
Yeah, that could be. But at the same time, maybe it is time for him to go if it's off. If he's got and we're gonna find out exactly that because he's calling the plays this year, right?
Yeah, and we'll see how he does as the defensive coordinator. To me, that's going to be a huge piece to know what happens because Sean McDermott broke the drought. We know that.
Yep.
And we know he's won playoff games. So we can't quite compare him to Marvin Lewis of Cincinnati. But if you're only taking us to the playoffs every year and we're not getting past, there needs to be something done. Thank you for joining us on episode 4 of the Kelly Cast.
Love you guys. Thanks for the encouraging words. Thanks for everything. Be on the lookout again for my special coming up. I'm going to film that this week. Slow down because I'm getting ahead of myself here. Don't forget to like, share, follow our Facebook page, YouTube page, and look forward to the next episode. Look forward to the season.
And with that, we say goodnight. We say goodbye.